Contemplated with Burns and Gambo.
All right, we get set for the NBA draft tomorrow. I am thinking about doing a Gambo 5 either tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see on it. I just gotta put some time into it. Last night, obviously, I fell asleep at 6:30 and couldn't put any time into it because I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Spoke with some teams today. It does look like, the top two picks in the draft, Cooper Flagg is going to the Dallas Mavericks. Dylan Harper is going to the San Antonio Spurs. After that, from the teams that I've spoken with, it does look like the next six guys, the combination is going to be Edgecombe, the guard out of Baylor, Knuppel, the guard forward out of Duke, Ace Bailey out of Rutgers, Trey Johnson out of Texas, Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma, and I think the other guy that I'm hearing a lot about is Derek Queen, who, I was looking at a mock draft today, I had him at 17, but I'm speaking with a team today that has him in that top 8 or 9. So that's what I have. And one of the guys that a lot of people are just kind of really trying to figure out where he goes, and he might be a top 10 pick, is the 7'2" center out of Duke, the freshman, Malawach.
There you go.
Malawach. Yeah, I was talking to some teams about him. Definitely worth taking a chance on him. He's 7'2", not a good athlete, but very tall, very long. Those guys usually get picked. So, that's where we are right now with some of the information that's coming out. You start to look at, for the Suns, I heard that Asa Newell from Georgia.
Asa Newell.
Yeah, Newell had a really good workout. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, but Newell out of Georgia, 6'10" kid, had a very good workout. So keep your eye on him. A lot of people are asking me about Carter Bryant, the kid out of Arizona. He's definitely in that range. Colin Murray, Boyles is another kid that a lot of people think that could be in that 10, 11, 12 range where the Suns are picking. But Flagg and Harper are going 1, 2. And then after that, there's a bunch of guys that I think are going to go in the next 6 based on what I'm hearing. Drafts are very different each year, so you never know. But we'll keep our eye on this and try to figure out what the Phoenix Suns can do. But the chances of getting a good player at 10 are a lot different than trying to get one at 29. One team is telling me today that you got a 40% chance of hitting on a pick 1 through 5. 40% chance that kid's going to be a good player and an all-star. Even then, 1 through 5, only a 40% chance that kid's going to turn into a good player and an all-star. Obviously, 5 to 10, it drops lower than that. You're probably talking in the 30 range, 25 to 30% range. But you got to have swings to the bat. You do. You have to have swings to the bat. The Suns have that. 4 swings to the bat right now, 2 firsts, 2 seconds. The 2 seconds are late. They are late. The first one is pick 52, and then the other one is pick 59. They just got that from Houston in the trade for Kevin Durant. So it's going to be fun to see if the Suns try to package 52 and 59 to move up, or even package 29 and some other stuff to try to move up in the first round to try to get some younger assets, which, of course, they need.
You were mentioning swings of the bat. This is the biggest swing of the bat that they're going to take over the next 3 years because they do not have the assets, whether it's players, picks, whatever, cap space, to acquire a next-level talent potentially. This is their best chance at doing so with the number 10 overall pick. They do not have a first-round pick next year. They have a second-rounder, that's it. And then in 2027, their own first, of course, is still in the possession of Houston. That's where you get the worst out of yourself, Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. So if Cleveland, Minnesota, or Utah are good, then you are picking in the 20s. That has a pretty good chance of happening. So if you're looking at this 3-year timeline of sort of resetting and reshaping the roster, this number 10 pick you have to hit with. This is their biggest X factor of their entire rebuild, reset, reload, pivot and reload, whatever you want to call it exactly.
And trade. I mean, it's going to be a big, you're going to look back at this trade in 5 years when Kevin Durant is out of the league and say, what did the Suns get for Kevin Durant? And this number 10 pick could be a big part of that. If this turns into a regular starting player for the Phoenix Suns, people are going to feel really good about that trade. No matter what happens with Green and Brooks, this has the potential to be, look, there's been picks that have been all-stars at 10 and, guys that they've been able to get. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but, that's what you're looking for. You're hoping that number 10 is going to end up being a player that could turn into a starter for you over a number of years.
And the choice of what they really go after in terms of upside is really interesting because I think this part of the draft compared to previous years is very high on the number of players in this range where they have a low floor and a high ceiling. Like there is a big gap between what Yegor Demon out of BYU could wind up being in the league. You mentioned Derek Queen. There are a lot of red flags and concerns about him, but he is incredibly skilled with the ball, has phenomenal feel, and has a ton of upside there. You could go with Carter Bryant out of Arizona, who you mentioned, like 3-and-D, pretty high floor there. Murray Boyles does a lot of basketball things well on the floor with his defense, with his playmaking, to the point where you can kind of decide what kind of swing of the bat that you want to have in this range.
Yeah, one of the things I was talking with another team today about Queen, and said, listen, he could definitely be a top 8 guy. He could be a top 8 guy in this draft. They said he's so non-athletic. He's not a rim protector. He's a great passer in the paint, but he can't shoot. He can score, but he can't shoot. But he's got an elite feel for an undersized guy. I'm saying, but he's listed as 6'10". They go, no, he's like in sneakers, he's 6'9". So he's more like 6'8". So he's undersized, because I was talking to this team today, and I'm like, he's listed as 6'10". He's not 6'10". But they said what he does is unique. You could draft him as a 4/5, where he could play some power forward and maybe some center. One of the questions about him is he's like 250 pounds, but he has high body fat, so he's not real disciplined. So there's some questions about, his discipline and whether he plays hard all the time, because he can't really jump. He's one of those guys that really can't jump. So such an intriguing prospect. Like, he's elite. He's got a great feel for the game for an undersized guy, but he's got a lot of body fat. He's not real disciplined. He doesn't play hard. It's like great passer, but he can't really shoot. He's not athletic. And so that's one of the truly fascinating guys in this draft.
You really need to be in a position, too, with someone like that, or even someone like Murray Boyles, who can't shoot, but he's a very good passer. He can score in the post a bit, but his biggest appeal is defense and how versatile he can be there, how much he helps both on and off the ball. So your biggest thing here is how you integrate certain prospects. And Derek Queen, you have to have a specific system to get the most out of a big man like that. You want the ball in his hands. You want him to play make a little bit. You want him to drive to the rim. You don't want him to just be in the post. You don't want him to just be standing at the wing of the three-point line and doing dribble handoffs the whole time. You really need to utilize him properly. You need to run the right defensive scheme with him or Murray Boyles. There's very specific players in this draft as well. Newell is another guy that you mentioned out of Georgia, where the versatility aspect of his game is very tantalizing, but it's all potential. Right now, he shot threes at Georgia. He didn't really make them. When he was defending on the perimeter at Georgia, he did okay, but he's got a lot of room to sort of grow into. He's kind of a tweener between a 4 and a 5, and that's always going to happen in this draft, Gambo, like in any draft. Cooper Flagg's going to be awesome. We all know that.
He may run the point for Dallas.
Yeah, he might.
I spoke with Dallas the other day. They said he may end up being a point guard.
The rest of these kids, though, who knows? Like, Dylan Harper is a great prospect, don't get me wrong, but there's concerns there within his game. Ace Bailey has all these red flags. Edgecombe, Knipple, Malawach, who you mentioned.
Yeah, some of those kids are going to hit.
And some of those kids are going to hit. Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma is a perfect example, because his handle and his speed is the best in this class. He's a very good playmaker. He got really wild, though. He can't shoot, and he's a horrible defender, just horrible.
Here's some of the players. Here's some stuff to give you hope for the number 10 pick. Lauren did some homework. So good job by Lauren. Here's some of the best players selected at number 10.
You made her do some homework, by the way, in bringing up Mikal Bridges. So she really went the extra length there to do that.
Best player selected at number 10. I'll start with that. Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges was the number 10 pick in the draft. C.J. McCollum, who just got traded, was a number 10 pick. Paul George is a number 10 pick. 7-time All-Star right there. Number 10 pick in the draft. Brooke Lopez, number 10 pick. Jason Terry out of the U of A.
Hey now.
A number 10 pick. Paul Pierce was a number 10 pick. So there are some great players that have been chosen number 10 in the history of the NBA. Some really good players. There's been a lot of busts, too, that have picked number 10. Not that he's a bust, but Jalen Smith was taken by the Suns with the number 10 pick in the draft. There's been other players that are good players, like Zach Collins was drafted number 10 overall, Austin Rivers, Jimmer Fredette, Brandon Jennings, another U of A guy, was drafted number 10, didn't amount to anything. Andrew Bynum.
That's because he went to Europe instead of going to U of A where he should have played. How dare he?
Joe Johnson. Number 10 pick in the draft. Remember Joe Johnson, former Sun?
Of course.
Number 10 pick in the draft, Joe Johnson. So, that's the type of stuff that gives you some hope that will be okay.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.